This Prezi was made by a colleague of mine, Carrie Nepstead, early childhood professor at Harold Washington College in Chicago. I am using it with her permission. There are many links to articles in this Prezi that you should read. I will be referencing some of them throughout the course. There are also links to videos, and these are not the same videos that we will watch in our discussion forums, so I encourage you to take advantage of the numerous resources in this Prezi. The Prezi is located in your course-wide resources. NAEYC standards are located in your syllabus in the course. Today I will explain how Standard 4, Using Developmentally Effective Approaches, addresses curriculum planning. Key element of Standard 4, 4A, is using positive relationships and supportive interactions as the foundation of our work with young children. Early childhood students demonstrate that they understand the theories and research that support the importance of relationships and high-quality interactions in our work with young children. They display warm, nurturing interactions with each child. They communicate genuine liking for and interest in young children's activities and characteristics. Throughout the years that children spend in early childhood settings, their successful learning is dependent not only on instruction, but also on personal connections with important adults. Through these connections, children develop not only academic skills, but also positive learning dispositions and confidence as a learner. Read this article and watch this video on powerful interactions that begin with you as the teacher. Key element of Standard 4, 4B, is knowing and understanding effective strategies and tools for early education, using appropriate use of technology. Early childhood professionals need a broad repertoire of effective strategies and tools to help young children learn and develop well. Students must ground their curriculum in a set of core approaches to teaching that are supported by research and are closely linked to the process of early development and learning. This is why we're looking at developmentally appropriate practice before we get into the curriculum approaches. In a sense, those approaches are the curriculum for infants and toddlers, although academic content can certainly be embedded in each of them. With preschool and early primary grade children, the relative weight and explicitness of subject matter or academic content become more relevant in the curriculum, and yet the core approaches or strategies remain a consistent framework. Those frameworks are what we're going to be looking at in this course. Engaging conversations and thought-provoking questions, provision of materials, and spontaneous activities are all evidence of a repertoire of teaching skills. Here are some articles about developmentally effective approaches with children whose cultures, languages, and abilities are different. This is all part of developmentally appropriate practice. You will need to read them to gain a full understanding of developmentally appropriate practice. Key element 4C of Standard 4 is using a broad repertoire of developmentally appropriate teaching and learning approaches. Students demonstrate the essential dispositions of they develop positive, respectful relationships with children whose cultures and languages may differ from their own, as well as with children who may have developmental delays, disabilities, or other learning challenges. In making the transition from family to a group context, very young children need continuity between the practices of family members and those used by professionals in the early childhood setting. Their feelings of safety and confidence depend on this continuity. So here are some more articles to read and videos to watch, fostering oral language and communication, and articles on classroom management and math, Why is classroom management such an important part of developmentally appropriate practice? Remember, you must know the development of the child in order to manage the classroom appropriately. The environment, the schedule, and the routines, they're very important for developmentally appropriate practice. And here's an article and some videos also about indoor and outdoor environments. Teachers consider both what to teach and how to teach, developing the habit of reflective, responsive, and intentional practice to promote positive outcomes for each child. Standard 4 makes sure that students are prepared in early childhood degree programs that they understand that teaching and learning with young children is complex, and its details vary depending on the children's ages, characteristics, and the settings within which teaching and learning occur. They understand and use positive relationships and supportive interactions as a foundation for their work with young children and families. Students know, understand, and use a wide variety of developmentally appropriate approaches, instructional strategies, and tools to connect with children and families and positively influence each child's development and learning. So here are some more articles and videos to watch. An example of developmentally appropriate practice is circle time. How teachers conduct the circle time. You don't expect a preschooler to just sit quiet and listen to you for 20 or 30 minutes. So here's an article that explains different active strategies for circle time, along with some other videos and another article too. Very good resources here. And here are some resources on creating support for play and why play is so important in preschool. And more resources about guidance and technology. And NAEYC, young children, they dedicated an entire volume to integrative approaches to curriculum. All of these teaching approaches are effective across the early childhood age span. From the infant toddler room to the early grades, young children are developing not only early language and reading skills, but also the desire to communicate, read, and write. They are developing not only early math and science skills and concepts, but also the motivation to solve problems. They are developing empathy, sociability, friendships, self-concept, and self-esteem. Concept acquisition, reasoning, self-regulation, planning and organization, emotional understanding and empathy, sociability is the development of all of this is deeply entwined within the early experiences. In all the content areas such as mathematics, language, literacy, science, and social studies in the early childhood program. Children's development in the social, emotional, and cognitive domains, they develop independence, responsibility, self-regulation, and cooperation. And these are critical to success in the transition to the school and to the early grades, from preschool into the early grades. Responsive teaching creates the conditions within which very young children can explore and learn about their world. The close attachments children develop with their teachers and caregivers, the expectations and beliefs that adults have about young children's capabilities, and the warmth and responsiveness of adult-child interactions are powerful influences on positive development and educational outcomes. How children expect to be treated and how they treat others is significantly shaped in the early childhood setting. Candidates in early childhood programs develop the capacity to build a caring community of learners in the early childhood setting. So think about, this is Vivian Paley and her video. She also has a book. Think about how she reflects on her own teaching practice in order to promote positive outcomes for each child. How can you be just as reflective as she was in her book? And that's Standard 4. It's all about developmentally effective approaches. So find this Prezi in the course resources to access all the great articles and videos here.